Hi, everyone. Welcome to this edition of the Project Pro AI Monetization Podcast, where we speak with industry leaders on what business outcomes they're seeing with AI. I'm Binny, the co-founder of Project Pro, and today we are honored to have Dave Bottoms. Dave is the Senior Vice President and General Manager of Marketplace at the world's leading freelancer marketplace, Upwork. Dave has had an illustrious career in product and product management. Earlier, he was director of product management at Meta. Before that, head of product management focused on customer growth at Dropbox. And prior to that, he spent many years at Yahoo as vice president of product, leading their mobile distribution and OTT video strategy. Dave, thank you so much for taking time to do this.
Well, thanks for having me, Benny. Pleasure to talk to you today.
Thank you. Dave, I must tell you, I'm a huge power user and a fan of Upwork. In fact, my Upwork is my go-to place to go get all my slides and proposal-related graphics done. I actually have this one specific freelancer in Upwork. I've been working with her for the last 3 years. She's almost an extension of my company. So
That's great to hear. Great to hear. There are a lot of people like you, Benny, that find a great freelancer and want to retain them and give them many more projects.
yeah, she's awesome. Yeah. Dave, we're curious to begin with. Given we kind of came out of COVID a couple of years back, and we are entering into a new world with AI, what remains the same and what is changing when it comes to freelancers and the gig economy?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think companies like Upwork that had a global distributed workforce and we have millions of freelancers on the platform, we benefited tremendously by COVID because it became the norm to have global distributed workforce. Everybody was working remotely, and it really accelerated that trend, I would say. Coming out of it, I think many companies kind of learned that it's okay to have developers or extended team members that are working in different time zones, as long as the work product was valuable and they were able to communicate effectively, collaborate effectively with the in-house teams. So that hasn't changed, I would say. The thing that obviously has changed was the introduction of ChatGPT from OpenAI and the sort of tidal wave of AI innovation that's happening across the industry today. That's really unlocking a lot of new potential to rethink the ways that we work. I think it's empowering both freelancers to be more productive, but also clients to think about what types of work they can and should be looking at for the future.
Makes sense. And given these kind of triggers, are there specific categories of new work that you're beginning to see taking off on Upwork?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of demand for what we would call AI-related categories of work. So things like prompt engineering, data labeling, data science, and machine learning. Machine learning is not new, but being able to hire a freelancer who's an expert in machine learning and who can actually work with proprietary data inside a company is kind of a nuanced thing. And being able to actually find that talent wherever it is in the world is much more in demand today than ever before.
Yeah.
I think the flip side of that, there are certain categories like translation, for example, where AI does a very good job of being able to translate. I think you still want to have a human in the loop, but the role of a translator may have changed from doing the actual translation, which AI can do very well, to being more of an editor, to looking over the translation and making sure you're capturing all of the colloquialisms of local language as a native speaker might. So we're seeing some categories, obviously, in AI-related work really surging in demand. I think prompt engineering was up more than 90% in 2024, as an example. and some categories where the demand is waning as expected. But all told, I think we've sort of replaced some of the work that humans used to do with AI while creating net new categories and new areas of demand on the Upwork platform.
Makes sense. Okay. And one of the things we hear quite a bit, with vibe coding and all of that is the possible rise of the so-called solopreneur, like the one person, two-person company. Do you see that as a kind of a huge trend, or are there more nuances to how you think you're going to see that play out over the next decade or so?
Well, I don't think it's a huge trend yet, but I think it's certainly something that's aspirational and something that we think about a lot as these solopreneurs that have an idea and a dream for a business that don't need to hire and scale and build a company in the same way that they would have even 5 years ago.
Yeah.
The combination of, I think, the power of these emerging AI tools, coupled with the ability to hire flexible freelance talent kind of on demand, creates the opportunity. I think we're probably not 5 years away from seeing a solopreneur become a unicorn and create enough value that they can scale a business and create enough value that that is certainly kind of an aspirational
Yeah.
vision. I don't know that it's gotten to the point of being a trend yet, but certainly looking at a lot of the startup companies coming through, accelerators like Neo and Y Combinator, you don't need to scale the company across functions in the same way that you did several years ago, and a lot of the software development work, and certainly testing of software and building software can be done by people who maybe are not even full stack engineers. Maybe they're designers or product people or entrepreneurs with a business background that just have a vision for something that creates value in the world.
Makes sense. And you were an early adopter of AI at Upwork. You partnered with OpenAI. One of the things I was curious about is, while many enterprises were still trying to figure out POCs and is AI the right for them and things like that, you did this pretty early. You went in with a lot of conviction. Could you walk us through your thought process, and how do you develop that conviction to partner with OpenAI, put resources across multiple use cases? How did that thought process work out?
Yeah, well, I think it's a little bit serendipitous in that we created Upwork Labs as an area where we could innovate and play with new technologies that were emerging. And that was probably December of 2022, right about the time that OpenAI was releasing ChatGPT. And we thought that there was a lot of potential for generative AI to replace some of the workflows that had traditionally kind of grown up in our marketplace.
Yeah.
We started with our job post generator, which is kind of the core atomic unit, if you will, for what makes the marketplace work, where clients come in and they post a job. And using AI to power the job post not only made it, you kind of solved the blank screen problem of, how do I write this job description? How do I think about what tags to associate with a particular job so it gets surfaced better in search?
Yeah.
How do I leverage the historical or canonical knowledge of good jobs that are created and posted on Upwork, and make sure that the job post is rich and can be tuned to a particular project, but taking away that kind of blank screen problem of I have to write this before I can actually start reviewing talent and hiring freelancers. It really sped up the process of creating that initial job and kind of opened some of the floodgates to the demand on the platform. But at the same time, I would say, we weren't perfect out of the gate. We needed to follow a typical software development process where you have your MVP, you test and learn, you iterate, and now we're on probably version 3 of our job post generator, and that's the place we started, but it's also the place that we were able to learn a lot and iterate very quickly.
Yeah. Makes sense. One of the AI features on Upwork that I personally like a lot is, like I said, every time I work with my kind of a slide design freelancer, because I've been writing reviews for her for 3 years. Every new time, I don't know what new review to write for her because I've told every possible good thing about her possible. So, but then there's this very nice thing. It suggests new things to write, and I always use that to say something nice about her. So
Yeah, we've gone from job posts to proposal writing to review writing, and really looking at different places and ways that we can not only save time for clients that are doing things like you do, like writing reviews for freelancers that you've hired, but also helping freelancers with writing and crafting proposals that are going to be effective,
yeah.
as well as one of the things that we're testing right now is using an AI recruiter to conduct interviews to
Wow.
help facilitate the matching that happens in the marketplace. And you'll see kind of early tests of our AI recruiter coming out in the coming months.
Amazing. Is this a voice interview, Dave, or is it like a chat interview or?
It's like a chat interview, but we've also we acquired a company called Headroom that does video, real-time video. And one of the applications of the video, if say you and I are talking right now, it is transcribing and also suggesting, based on our conversation, what are milestones of a project that could be put into a project plan, and giving you something to react to. So that's another just specific use case application that I think is really interesting to start to apply to the fundamental way that Upwork works in matching clients and talent and facilitating a good project setup, a good project plan.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, they're getting AI agents to help with project management and the initial analysis of that.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the things that is always kind of left to the client to define a good project and what's in scope, or what are the milestones for a particular project. And it may be that we can have a conversation about it and agree on milestones and deliverables, but translating that into an actual project plan that becomes sort of our contract for how we're gonna run the project. It's just it facilitates the time to get started actually doing and delivering the work,
Yeah.
and takes some of the manual collaboration out of the process, and facilitates a much more streamlined approach.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because at least in my limited experience with Upwork, the contract is either all or nothing. I have to say the entire deck is done, or there's really no other way for me to break it up, at least from what I've seen. So
And you may not know at the outset of a project, how what are reasonable milestones, and what should be in and out of scope. So there's a constant kind of collaboration with a freelancer to make sure that you're clear on what the deliverables are, and you're clear on what the milestones should be, and how we can actually use AI to help facilitate some of that negotiation back and forth is really where we're seeing a big potential unlock.
yeah. And given your extensive experience in product management, do you have any guidance for others trying to incorporate AI into their workflows? How should they think about prioritizing the right opportunities to go after with AI?
Well, I'm a bit of a traditionalist in terms of product management, that I think not just using AI for the sake of AI, but really thinking about what is the customer problem that you're trying to solve. There's an old adage that you should fall in love with the problem, not the solution, because there are a dozens, if not hundreds, of ways to solve a particular problem. And if you frame the problem and you're very clear about what customer problem you're trying to solve, using AI can be one way to efficiently solve a problem, but thinking about the existing workflows that a customer has, the existing pain points that they have that you're trying to solve, and really getting to the core of how could you address that problem more efficiently or more productively? How can you help them address whatever it is they're trying to do? That's kind of a first principles approach, I think, to product management in searching for the pain points. And if you can solve a particular customer pain, then you have a greater chance of delighting them with an experience that's seamless and easy to use.
Yeah. Yeah. And for a use case like like a proposal generator or a job matching kind of use case, how do you think about outcomes or ROI or deliverables? How do you think of that?
Well, we're a little bit of a unique case in that as a work marketplace, one of our North Star goals, if you will, is called freelancer earnings, because it captures the client who's spending and also the freelancer who's earning.
Wow.
And so we look at a number of different input metrics that drive the ability to do a match and a hire and a contract start, and eventually making sure that a freelancer is getting paid in resulting in the freelancer earning metric. So all along the sort of customer journey, from the time a client comes onto the platform to the time a contract is started, we're thinking about what are the places and ways that we can make that process more efficient. And we may have different metrics for different parts of the journey, but ultimately everything kind of ladders up to that singular North Star metric of what can we do to drive freelancer earnings.
Good. It's helpful to have clarity on that North Star metric then for companies going into this.
Yeah, I generally find that there's a goal map, if you will, that product teams working on different parts of the product, different surfaces, different workflows, if they understand how what they're trying to do ladders up to a North Star metric, and that metric also then is directional in terms of driving the business or driving revenue. It helps ground product teams in solving the right problems and in staying focused on these are places or ways in a particular workflow that if we could get a little bit more efficient, we could drive greater fill rate. Fill rate's another one that I love as an input metric, because it captures both sides of the two-sided marketplace. A job gets posted and it gets filled with a freelancer who is capable of delivering the work. That's a good predictor of eventually a freelancer earning. So we're kind of always looking for goals that we set at the team level that ladder up to what is that North Star goal.
Yeah. Okay. And while you're building out these AI features inside the product, Dave, how much difference have you seen in the quality of the AI from a POC to finally when it goes to production? You see the first or the second version and it's, I don't know, maybe 60% there. And then the final thing, it goes live and it's a lot better. Like, how fast is that slope of learning have you seen?
It probably depends on the data set that we're using to train our internal, train and tune our internal models. So there are the foundational models that we use, like from OpenAI and Meta's Llama. And then there are different data sets that we take from our platform. So historical data on what creates a good match, or what creates a good project plan, or what creates a good outcome.
Yeah.
And we may have the data set in a version 1 and have some hypotheses about how our kind of micro tuning of our own models will work. But it's only when you're into production and you're seeing the interactions between clients and freelancers that we start to capture some of the edge cases and start to better tune the models. Yeah. And it can be very fast, to your question. I think the learning loops, because AI doesn't sleep. It's 24/7, and our platform is virtually 24/7 because of the distributed nature of people across the globe who are on the platform. So the learning loops get faster and faster, and using some kind of more advanced techniques with our engineering team that I can't even begin to discuss with you, but they're able to take the data that's happening in real time and use that to tune our specialized models on top of the foundational models to get faster responses and better outputs and outcomes.
Yeah, no, that must be a huge leverage that you have at Upwork, having that treasure trove of internal data to fine-tune the models with.
It's also just getting the data structured in the right way so that we can extract the really important parts and build these predictive models to understand what is the outcome that you're trying to optimize for, and how best can we sort of guide the conversational discussion to extract what is true intent of either a client or a freelancer in finding a better match using some of this data, and unlocking the potential of the AI to get smarter and better through these real-time feedback loops.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. And apart from rolling out AI functionality in your product, you've also kind of given access to AI to most of your team at Upwork for internal productivity. Are there specific use cases that are kind of really popular that have surprised you?
Not necessarily surprised, but I think there's a human element to deploying new tools because it's different than the way that software developers, for example, have always developed and deployed code. Certainly, we've experimented with Copilot and with ChatGPT Enterprise. We're a customer of OpenAI's as well as a partner. So there are development opportunities for getting our engineering team to be faster and more efficient with how they build and deploy and test. A lot of the automated QA testing is made faster and more efficient by using some of the tools. But it is a bit of a cultural embrace to try and say, hey, these tools are available. We've tried it in isolated pockets of the engineering org. We've tried it in broad strokes to sort of make tools available for our developers as well as our product managers and designers. I think it's a really interesting and powerful phenomenon to take somebody who's not a software developer and give them a powerful tool to build and deploy something that can be in a sandbox. And I think we've gotten a lot faster at building working prototypes to illustrate kind of the power of what a concept could look like in production. And I think, like most companies, we're kind of learning the places and ways that sort of work with our workforce, and the places and ways to best deploy some of these tools to unlock greater efficiencies.
Mm-hmm. And to your point about how easy it has become to build products and POCs right now, how do you see this playing out? Do you see, I mean, one school of thought is more developers end up becoming product managers because they are really controlling agents and orchestrating what's happening there. Do you think that's how it's headed, or do you think the same developers will just do 5x more, 10x more products coming out of them?
I think we all love the productivity dream of having 10x developers that are just more productive and being able to do build more with less capacity. Because for every company I've ever worked at, that's always the limitation: is how much engineering capacity do you have? You have no shortage of ideas or a backlog of things that you'd like to go build, but you have a finite amount of engineering capacity.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that these new tools are unlocking. If you can get 5x or 10x the productivity out of a development team, because they're not doing redundant tasks, or their vibe coding, as you referenced earlier. It also unlocks different functions to start thinking about prototyping. Our design team is playing with lots of different tools right now that can take designs that are started in Figma and ultimately become working prototypes very, very quickly, which speeds the whole process of putting something in front of a customer and doing user testing to get feedback, and even the process of going from a prototype in a sandbox to a production development environment very, very quickly.
Yeah, makes sense. And do you kind of have a contrarian take on AI and what we should expect in the next couple of years, as well as what are you most excited about from what you're seeing, given that you're at the frontier of many of these use cases?
Well, I guess my contrarian take is becoming a little bit more of the norm. I think the promise of AI, for a while the meme was like AI is going to replace jobs, and I've actually seen the opposite, that it's actually creating jobs and demand for humans who can help train AI models and make them better.
Yeah.
I think there are sort of two places where you still need to have humans or people in the loop. One is on the front end, having the idea or the concept or the prompt that you want to get started. AI can do and deliver a lot of different tasks very efficiently, but you also want to have people on the other end to sort of check the work and make sure that it's high quality, and it's ready to be deployed if it's software, or it's ready to be put into the world if it's something like a translation or an SEO tuned landing page. You still, I think, are needing people to both think creatively and critically about how to set up the right systems, and also as a check and balance on the other end to make sure that the quality is there. So we're seeing lots and lots of demand from companies that are developing AI tools that want to have these human APIs, if you will, or humans in the loop to check the work that are experts in their respective areas. And I think that creates a lot of opportunity for freelancers to sort of shift from maybe doing and delivering all the work end to end to
Yeah.
being the expert around how would you set up the right system so it's repeatable, and how would you put the right quality checks in place to make sure that the work that's done and delivered is up to the quality standard that you would expect. I certainly also see that freelancers are able to leverage the tools that are available today, and I think we referenced one of them is the Upwork Chat Pro that is part of our Freelancer Plus package, to do work and to earn more because they're able to be more productive by using some of the tools that are available in the market today.
Mhm, mhm. And given you're like the world's leading job uh, freelance marketplace, I was curious, what do you think about skilling and upskilling? How is that going to play out over the next couple of years? Like, given that so much of skills is going to get productized into the AI, do you think people learning skills is going to plateau, go up, come down? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, that's an interesting question. I mean, I think you still need to fundamentally understand how to take software development, for example. You still need to know some of the basic fundamentals about how to build software so that you know the right prompts to give to the tools to write code on your behalf. I think there are lots of tools that are recognizing that people do need to be certified in how best to use the tools.
Yeah.
And you're seeing lots of the vendors today creating programs and skills certifications and whatnot. You mentioned even at the outset some of the programs through Udacity or even through Microsoft or OpenAI. Lots of different developer programs that are available out there for people to be trained and skilled or certified. I think that's a trend that we're going to see continuing to accelerate. People want to be able to say that they've mastered a particular tool or that they've been certified, and that gives a certain amount of credibility to their skill that they bring to a particular task.
Mhm.
I think that is a trend that probably does accelerate. I think that it also creates opportunities for people to look at categories of work that they may not have been qualified for based on traditional education, where they can get certifications and be expert in net new areas and add more capabilities or add more skills that they can use to market and find more work on platforms like Upwork.
Mhm. And if I was a startup slightly, wanting to leverage
You
up.
are a startup, right?
I am a startup. I am a startup, yeah.
Yeah.
And you've probably seen power users of Upwork, companies or power user of Upwork. Like, what tips do you have on how should I best leverage Upwork to kind of 5x, 10x my team's capabilities? Best practices that you.
Yeah. One of the best practices, or one of the pro tips that I would offer is smaller test jobs,
Mm,
where savvy clients will come on and say, "Hey, I have a big complex project, but I'm going to break it down into a very small project that might be predictive of a freelancer's ability to deliver on that project.
yeah.
And instead of hiring one freelancer, I might hire 3 or 4
Mm,
and see who does really well at that test project,
yeah.
and then advance them after that test project. That may be, a couple hours. It might be I hire them for a week, and after I sort of see and compare how well they are at not only the delivery of the work and the things that I'm hiring for on the hard skills, but some of the soft skills. Are they responsive to email or video? Do they communicate well? Do they deliver when they say they're going to deliver? Those types of things that play into hiring a freelancer into an existing team environment, or where they have to collaborate. We see a lot of clients that are, kind of over hiring for a particular project and then advancing the best of the best, like your example of finding a freelancer that you've worked with on numerous projects over many, many years. That's kind of like the dream case for both the client and the freelancer, because you build that trust through repeated projects.
Yeah.
And finding somebody that you work well with, and that they're going to deliver, and that they're going to be responsive, is the highest value that we can create in making matches between clients that have work to deliver and talent that has a particular skill and wants to market themselves.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, especially with my freelancer, it's sometimes I think that there must be 3 of her or 2 of her, because it's amazing at the pace at which she responds. And I can almost always say it's the same person responding, because the tone of language and things like that. And it's 5 minutes. Whenever I go start a cold call, in 5 minutes I have a response and work gets done, and I have my stuff in 12 hours, and it's been a fantastic experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great example of the kind of what I'd say is soft skill. It's not necessarily you're certified in a particular area, but it's like just being super responsive,
Mhm.
just being able to turn around and being able to communicate and articulate what you're doing, and answer a question, or being available when you need them. Those are things that are bode very well for strong relationships with the talent on the platform.
Makes sense. Yeah. Just, two final questions, Dave. One is, as a product leader of a job marketplace, today, you connect the customer and the freelancer, and then you kind of take a share out of that earnings as a revenue model. Um, there are other models in which a job marketplace could work, where you could take complete ownership of the job, and you get delivered on delivering that job, and you get a higher percentage of those earnings and stuff like that. As a product leader, how do you prioritize to stick with what your core is and not get kind of deviate into tangential models that could keep coming up?
Yeah, and we've looked at subscription-based models,
Yeah.
that SaaS companies have pioneered, and there's a lot of business justification for why software works well that way.
Mhm.
But we found that for a two-sided marketplace, the fee-based model around the delivery of the work actually works very well for both the client and the freelancer versus a subscription. We are experimenting with what I would call outcome-based pricing and outcome, delivering outcomes, not just today. Our primary outcome is we make the match and we allow the client and talent to find each other and then go off and do the work. But we're experimenting a little bit with how do we think about what is the actual outcome or the intent that a client has when they come to Upwork, and can we actually deliver a valuable outcome? Can we extract the intent that they have? Why are they hiring a designer and an Android developer or an iOS developer? Oh, they probably want to build an app.
Mhm.
What kind of app and what kinds of skills or what kind of freelancers would they need to actually deliver on that outcome? And can we actually price the outcome, not just the talent that is required to build the outcome? So I think that's a really interesting potential business model that we see emerging, and others have talked about outcome-based pricing in different venues and forums and things like that. I think it's going to be something that you'll see more of in the next 2 to 3 years, and it takes some iteration and testing and learning to try and get at how do you actually price an outcome versus the way that we're currently doing it. I don't think it replaces our two-sided marketplace that we've built into a very, very healthy global business.
Yeah.
But it could be one way that clients want to think about work delivery is, I have an outcome in mind, and Upwork, you tell me what is the right mix of AI and people and skills and talent to deliver on that outcome. So you can almost imagine kind of virtual teams or dynamic teams being formed.
Yeah.
And increasingly, some really important part of that team may be an agent
Yeah.
that is delivering part of the work,
Yeah.
or that agents operate in our marketplace to deliver on work that is tied to a particular outcome that we would price in a certain way.
Yeah.
So those are things that we're thinking about and trying to figure out what's the best way to experiment. But I definitely see a shift in the mental model of SaaS-based software where you're paying a subscription or you're paying for a seat,
Yeah.
to a world where you're paying for what is the outcome that I want to derive, and allowing us to kind of scramble the right dynamic team or the right mix of people and AI to deliver that outcome.
That's fascinating. I mean, it sounds like a very, very valuable solution when you do decide to take it live. That's fascinating. Yeah.
Check back with me in a year.
I will. I will. And finally, Dave, for someone who's just starting out their career in product management, what guidance do you have for them, both from the tools and tactics that is changing in a product manager's daily life, and kind of building AI into products and AI first products? How should they go about all this?
Wow, that's a good one. I mean, I love startups as a place to learn because it requires that you wear many hats. And I think if I was a product manager starting my career today, I would probably look for a small, nimble company that's trying to solve a big, hairy customer problem.
Yeah.
As I said earlier, the first principles of product management go back to like, what problem are you trying to solve, and how best can you define that problem and create a number of different places and ways that you can take a swing at solving that problem. And you may be using AI tools, you may be using traditional software development methods, or you may be building something that nobody's seen in the world today. But I think for product managers, the most important thing is being able to be a critical thinker and be able to focus on solving the right problem that is going to create enough value for customers that they're willing to pay for it. in whatever business model you can conceive of. I think the other thing that I think is important for product people today is to think about being not just user experience minded and trying to drive engagement or adoption, but also business minded and thinking about what is going to create a healthy, recurrable revenue stream for the business. How are you going to grow the business as well as how are you going to grow a user base or drive engagement with a particular product or feature?
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Dave. On that note, it's been incredibly helpful. Really appreciate you taking time to do this.
Oh, this is a lot of fun, Benny. Thanks so much. And wishing you and Project Pro all the best.